Hey guys, today, oh my goodness, but today we're just doing this. I have no idea what this is. These are just things that I watched. So today we're going to be reacting to some scary stuff by Snarled. If you don't know their channel, make sure to go check it out. It's just right here, SNARLEDO. Uppercase. Go check them out and subscribe to them because I think their stories are really good, I guess. But let's get into the scary stories.
Hi Oddings, it's your Ate Sapphire. After this episode, you can hear 4 more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary? Gold coins. The following is based on an urban legend from Spain. Many years ago, there was a large and beautiful house in the center of Cordoba, Spain. It was owned by the Velascos, a very wealthy family comprised of a father, mother.
First, let me show you guys what it is.
Minimize. What is a life worth? Something scary. Snarled. Add to. Share. Cast button. Disconnected. More options. Previous video. Rewind. Play video. Fast forward.
Okay, we're done. Okay.
Mother and their 9-year-old daughter, Sophia. Since her parents were usually busy and away from work, Sophia was practically raised by her maid, Isabella. She lived in the house with Sophia and would only go home to her own family once.
My friend Sophia has a sister named Bella.
One weekend every month.
That's funny.
Despite all her years of service to the Velascos, Isabella wasn't being paid a fair wage. But she knew she was better off staying with them than trying to find work elsewhere. One day, Isabella came back to the Velascos' house in tears. "What's wrong?" asked Sophia. "My son's not doing well. He needs to see a doctor, but I don't know how I'm going to afford it." "Why don't you ask my mama and papa to help?" "I already did." As wealthy as they were, the Velascos were very tight with their money, spending it only on making lavish additions to their home and on their business. That night, Isabella slept in Sophia's room. Sophia's parents were out of town again and wouldn't be back for a month. Isabella and Sophia were having a hard time falling asleep. After laying in bed for hours, they heard a strange scraping noise coming from the hallway. No one else was home. Did somebody break in? Slowly, they crept to the door and peeked their heads out the door frame. At the far end of the hallway was a small boy. In one hand, he held a candle, the only source of light illuminating the dark corridor. In the other, he was holding up one of the black tiles, revealing a hole in the ground. Sophia and Isabella watched as he took a small bag from his pocket and poured the contents into the hole. It made a familiar clinking sound. The boy placed the tile back to its original position and walked away, leaving the lit candle on the ground. Sophia and Isabella shared a look. They had both heard the rumors that this house was haunted, but neither of them had ever seen a real ghost before. They had to see what was inside that hole. If the boy hadn't left the candle, there was no way they would have been able to find the loose tile. There were absolutely no indications that this tile could be moved at all. Isabella lifted the tile up. She held the candle over the hole to reveal a pile of gold coins. But the hole was much too narrow for Isabella to go down. "I'll go down and get them for you," Sophia offered. Carefully, she shimmied down the hole, gathered the coins, placed them in her pocket, and climbed back up. Isabella was convinced that her prayers had been answered. They climbed back into bed and agreed not to tell anyone else about their secret. The following night, at around the same time, they heard the same scraping sound again. They went to the doorway, and there he was, the same young boy dumping another set of gold coins into the hole. And just like the night before, Sophia climbed down and gathered them for Isabella. This continued every night the rest of the week. Isabella had more than enough coins to pay for her son's doctor bills, but she didn't want to stop. There was an infinite well of money. How could anyone say no to that? On the 8th night, the candle the little boy left had been worn down to an inch. Isabella told Sophia to make it quick, because who knows when the candle might go out. Sophia climbed into the hole, gathered the coins, and climbed back up. But some of the coins spilled out of her pocket. Instinctively, Sophia let go of the walls to grab them and fell back to the bottom of the hole. Isabella reached out to try and grab her, but in doing so, she dropped the candle and let go of the tile. Isabella was now in complete darkness. If Sophia was screaming underneath the ground, Isabella couldn't hear her. She had to find another candle, fast. She felt her way back to Sophia's room, but couldn't find one. She blindly stumbled to the kitchen, where she found candles on the dining table. Luckily, there was a matchbox right next to them, and so she hurriedly carried the lit candle back to the hallway. And then her heart sank. She couldn't remember which tile hid the hole. In a panic, she frantically tried to pull up all the tiles she could, but none of them were budging. She collapsed on the ground and wept. A few weeks later, the Belascos returned from their trip, but were confused when neither Sophia nor Isabella were at home. Senora Belasco walked up and down the halls, calling out her daughter's name. Sophia? Sophia, where are you? Mama, help me. Senora followed the voice to the hallway and placed her ear on the ground. Sophia, are you in there? Please get me out of here, Mama. Senora called a construction crew, who quickly tore up the tile floor. They found Sophia at the bottom of the hole, decaying, surrounded by shiny gold coins. They say that the house is still there in Cordoba,
Oh my
and
gosh,
if you
this
visit
is
at
like
night,
not for kids.
you can still
Too
hear
scary.
poor
Oh
Sophia
my god.
calling out to be saved.
Somebody please help me.
Want more Something Scary? You can hear 4 more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. If you'd like to submit a story, send me an email at
Watch another one.
somethingscary@snarled.com.
I don't know.
Like and
It's
share
really
this
scary,
video
but
if it gave you the
I'm
chills.
just gonna do
And
this
don't
for
forget
you
to
guys.
subscribe to Snarls and turn
Go.
on the...
What the heck? Red Bull? What the?
Hi, Oddings. It's your Ate Sapphire. After this episode, you can hear 4 more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary? Do this in memory of me. Our first chapter is inspired by a true story submitted by Audie. Recently, they stayed with their tia in Mexico, and when they asked her to make her famous pozole, this is what she told them. I will never eat pozole again. There's a church in my neighborhood that I've been going to every Sunday for the past year or so, and after every Mass, all of the members move next door to the hall where free lunch is served. Every week, it's the same delicious pozole, a traditional red stew with pork and vegetables, and it's all prepared and provided by Lupe Espinoza, a kind young woman. Lupe had been involved in the church long before I became a member. She was the most dedicated Catholic I had ever met. She ran the youth group and food drives and volunteered all over the city. After every Mass, she would give an individual greeting to every single person and memorized everybody's name. Everybody practically worshipped her, especially her husband, Eduardo. He was also involved in the community, but even he knew he wasn't as beloved as Lupe. Personally, I was always slightly creeped out by how intense they were. Lupe never broke eye contact with you when you were speaking, and Eduardo treated Lupe like she was a god. His wife seemed to be his proudest achievement. But they both did so much good in the community, it felt wrong to think ill of them, even though they both seemed a little off. One thing was for sure, their pozole was divine. One Sunday, I woke up late and forgot to eat breakfast before heading to Mass. My stomach was gurgling through the whole service, and it only got worse during the transubstantiation, which is when the priest turns the bread and wine into the body and blood of Jesus.
Take this, all of you, and drink from it. This is my blood.
In Catholicism, we believe that an actual transformation happens in that moment. That is actually Jesus' body and blood that we are about to consume. We believe that it brings us closer to God.
Do this in memory of me.
The second Mass was over, I rushed over to the hall to get in line for food. Maybe it was because I was extra hungry that day, but the pozole was even better than I remembered. I had always prided myself for my cooking skills, especially my own pozole recipe. But the Espinosas had me beat. I decided to ask Lupe about it. Your pozole is the best I've ever had. What's your secret? Lupe stared into my eyes, smiled, and delicately placed a hand on my shoulder. Just God's love. The following Sunday, I went to Mass as usual. But the Mass was not as usual. It was a memorial service for Lupe. During the week, the youth group went on one of those home building trips, like Habitat for Humanity, and a large metal crossbeam fell right on top of Lupe. It would have slammed right into 3 teenagers, but Lupe pushed them out of the way. After the service, everybody congregated in the hall. Once everybody had a bowl of soup in their hands, Eduardo addressed the crowd. Thank you all for coming. My wife loved all of you very much. Please, raise your bowls. Take this, all of you, and drink it. To Lupe. Everybody took a sip. We all took our seats and continued to eat the pozole. But it tasted a little different. Not worse, just different, which made me realize that Lupe was probably the better chef, not Eduardo. I was nearing the bottom of my bowl, so I picked it up and slurped the rest. All that was left was a small chunk of meat. I went to stab it with my fork, but it was surprisingly tough. I continued to stab it, and in doing so realized that it was a thumb. A goddamn human thumb with the bone still inside. I screamed and immediately started gagging. I threw the thumb onto the table. Everyone around me gasped in horror and disbelief. I turned to Eduardo and shouted, "What did you feed us?" He simply stared back, raised his hands, and said, "She died for others. Do this in memory of her." You're insane. What the hell is wrong with you? Oh my God. Angry shouts echoed throughout the hall as people began vomiting everywhere. We held Eduardo in that room until the police came. I didn't do anything wrong. You should be grateful. We're all closer to God. Want more Something Scary? You can hear 4 more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. If you'd like to submit a story, send me an email at somethingscary@snarled.com. Like and share this video if it gave you the chills. And don't forget to subscribe to Snarled and turn on the bell for notifications. And if you dare, follow me on social media. Until next time, sweet dreams.
Make sure you guys, if you guys want to, comment down below if you guys want me to do another video like this. And subscribe, and hope you guys liked it. Bye. Oh my goodness. So, you're gonna have to go. Wait a second. And bye.